Alright, so this is my little toolbox tour. It's not super impressive, but I work in aviation and I own a mobile mechanic business that I run on the side. And so there might be some tools in here that some people aren't super familiar with, or something that I really like that maybe like you'll be able to use in your job, in your field. I don't know. Like something like these safety wire pliers. Like they're pretty aimed at aviation. Some people call them mechanic wire pliers. I've seen them on some like high performance clutches, brake caliper bolts. They got safety wire, and what you do is clip it in there, lock it, and then you've got this for forward, or you can twist it to reverse. I think there's supposed to be an R there for reverse. There might be on this pair, maybe not. I guess not. Just an F. But I got two pair of them because I ended up losing a pair, and then I found them a couple years later in my pickup under the carpet. And the Snap-on guy actually warranted them out, so I got a brand new spare pair. And then these I haven't seen in a lot of other tours here, but they're van pliers. And Snap-on does make a pistol grip pair of pliers similar to these, but these come in an entire set. You get 4 pair of them. But what they do is, like, if you got to round it off like Phillips and you can't get your bit to grab, but you can grab the head of it or the shank, you can grab it and twist it out most of the time. They got some diagonal cutters in them as well. You've got large pair, your regular pair that you use all the time. And you've got these little tiny ones also that I use in junction boxes whenever studs would break. The camera won't really focus. I'm using my phone for this too, so it's not going to be super high quality. But I thought those were pretty cool. I can't remember how much they were, but they came in a wrap and you got all 4 pair instead of just buying one, because some stuff that I use out, like working on bulldozers or backhoes, definitely go for these. The Rat 72, again, have not used this outside of aviation. I use it a lot on CRJ thrust reversers to get targets in and out without removing any of the actuator or slides, because it's shallow enough that you can get this in there and unthread it and then loosen it the rest of it with your fingers, and you're good to go. And then you don't have to rig anything. It just makes the job super fast. And then obviously, like, standard sockets, deep and shallow, 12 point. I don't buy the medium depth ones. I've never ran into a situation that I needed them, so I never spent the money. This is a delivery valve holder socket for 12 valve Cummins P pump. These are also great. They're numbered instead of being fractional sizes, turbo sockets from Blue Point. I've used these quite a bit in aviation. I use all the bigger ones for everything out in the field. Crow's feet should be in the wrench drawer, but there really isn't room. An assortment of ratchets. This flex one is my least favorite. It doesn't ratchet, but I got it for free. Bit driver ratchets. Got 2 of those. 1.5 inch socket. Again, I bought for a CRJ pressure relief valve for the anti-ice on the engine cowl. These are triple squares, which a lot of automotive guys know what these are. They're not anything special. Mostly on Volkswagen, BMWs, European and German cars. This is my all-time favorite headlamp from Streamlight. It'll take rechargeable batteries or just AAAs, and I always use AAAs because the rechargeable battery, when it goes dead, the light just starts blinking and then goes out. At least with AAAs, it just gets dim, but you still have light. And then my Stry-on, I got the portable charger. It's in my pickup in the center console. I like this. Fits in your pocket very well. You don't need a holster or anything. And here comes my wife, baby, and puppies. This is another side project I'm working on. These locking extensions I always use going through truck frames. Keeps the socket on there so it doesn't fall off inside, and then you got to fish it out with a magnet or mechanical fingers. This one broke. This one is between my truck bed and cab stuck, so I haven't got it out yet. These are Wobble Plus. Much better than just wobbles. I love these. I've got the 1/4-inch set of wobbles. I really want to get Wobble Plus 1/4-inch extensions, but haven't got there yet. And then I got the standard regular extensions as well. Nothing else really special in there. And this, again, nothing super special. These are a little special, not very, but Sunex makes a bigger, better set. I just bought these because I could get a Carhartt with them. And then I bought this as well for almost half price for buying the set, because on CRJ 200 flap actuators, you can take out the flex shafts with this much easier than trying to fish a flathead in there and turn it, or your fingers or anything. And then again, aviation or ratcheting 7/32 for high locks or highlights. They're like a yield type rivet. And then just ratcheting wrenches, flex ratcheting, metric and standard, crow's feet, line wrenches, nothing else special. And then the screwdriver drawer, just regular screwdrivers, regular T-handle Allens. I only have 2 sets of screwdrivers because this one was a gift from someone at work, and these were the first thing I ever bought off of a tool truck at my old job. That's the only reason I keep them. I hardly ever use these because I don't have a Matco dealer, so if I break them, I can't get them replaced. This is definitely better than the Snap-on cotter pin puller. It's got a way better knuckle on it, in my opinion at least. I definitely think it's better. Picks, jeweler screwdrivers, and then this ratcheting screwdriver, it breaks, and you can change the angle of it. And you can, it's almost like a pistol grip as well. I like it. And I bought all the extensions that can go with it as well. Now the camera's not focusing. And then a valve core remover, changing aircraft tires all the time. Speed handles, a long flathead to push for a, I forget what kind of start it's called, but you can mechanically start an aircraft engine if the start valve won't open. These, I call them hog nose, pig nose screwdrivers, but they're for twisting safety wire as well. But whenever you can't get the pliers in there, you can put the safety wire through, twist it, and then pull it tight. Only used them a handful of times, but definitely come in handy when you need them. And then again, these are primarily what I use for removing rounded bolts all the time. I broke that one, it's getting replaced. These are all left-handed. I can't remember if these are lifetime warranty as well, but I bought this because these were already missing, so I got this way cheap compared to full price. These I think are garbage. They're Mac, and I'm not a huge fan of Mac tools. But like this, I had this for a week, and the detent already doesn't work. So I always just tape whatever little bit I need. And I really just bought this, again, to work in junction boxes on a CRJ. They got little itty bitty sockets in them. And Snap-on does make like an 1/8 inch drive set, but I got these for 50 bucks each. So these are sort of specialty. They're super low profile screwdrivers. And I think this is actually pretty cheap, like 40 bucks for the whole set. I use those to change bonding wires on landing gear doors, so I didn't have to take the door off and, again, rig it. Because rigging on aircraft is just fucking ridiculous. Christmas tree bits, punch holder, pretty normal stuff. This is a thread chaser kit. This is a punch and chisel set. Nothing really special in there. This is just a bit set, and like most of it's missing because it's fucking Schlitzman. Bits suck. This is just another. This is a tool I made to get out tapered pins in the rudder pedal tubes on a CRJ 200, 700, 900, whatever you're working on. The socket actually came off because I just hard manned it on, like double bubble. But it would work fantastic. And I also drilled out a little spot for the pin to set in so you can press it into the socket. Skin spoon. Again, I've heard of automotive guys using this on windshields, but I don't think I would. But I use it to like de-panel an aircraft because every panel's screwed in with like 1.5 million screws and then sealed in place as well. Keep moisture out away from actuators and proc sensors and micro switches and everything else. Jeweler's files. This is like, I got this from one of my grandpas. He was talking to a machinist that retired, and it's just like a hand vise, I guess. If anyone knows what this is, just comment and tell me what it actually is, because I've only used it to hold little pieces of aluminum that I was grinding, so I didn't have to use vice grips on it. It gets hot. And a die grinder tools. This is like a mix match drawer, extra batteries for the headlamp, circuit breaker collars, the little plastic clip remover, automotive, Teflon tape, injector remover for a Cummins. Again, I have a Cummins in my Ford pickup, so I bought all the tools I would need. And I know you can like use a lug nut and then just cut a piece of pipe to pull it out, but this is like $12 on Amazon, so I was like, no, fuck it, I'll just buy it with everything else. This is a sealant mixer, again for aircraft. You chuck it in your drill, and then the little tube has 2 little holes for this to go in, and then you can spin it with your drill and mix up the sealant so you don't have to walk over to that thing on the wall that mixes it for you. Cut off wheels, heat shield things for your arms because engines are hot. Face mask for driving the tug in the winter. Another tool for a Cummins, the valve spring compressor, which I opened upside down like a fucking moron. This is the second thing I ever bought off of a tool truck. It's just a 6-point, 1/4 inch set, deep and shallow. It's off of the Matco truck also. But it's got this thing I've seen at O'Reilly's branded Titan, and it was like $6. So it is probably the same exact thing. But yeah, nothing super special in there, just some extensions and 6-point sockets. And then the brake caliper toolkit, because I bought a Jetta and could not compress the rear calipers because the parking brake's in the caliper. This is the rechargeable battery for that Streamlight headlamp. I have 2 of them. I kept them anyway, just because there's no sense in throwing them away. And then the silly putty I use to set the gap on a proc sensor for like closing a door or the outer handle on an aircraft. You can set this in there, close the handle, and it squishes, and then you can peel this out and get a rough estimate of what your gap is, because you got to set it to like between 40 and 50 thousandths, or 10 to 30, anywhere in that range. And you can sort of measure this with dial calipers or stack up feeler gauges beside it and get your rough measurement, and then you can test the sensor, and usually if it's good you just lock it down to the jam nuts, and that's how you get your measurement. Air tool oil. These are another aviation tool. Wire extractors. We use these things called these like special splices here, and they've got little tiny pins that you crimp onto the wire, and then they literally plug and clip into this blue thing, and they work amazing. They are, I mean, if you got a wire problem, you can unplug it and isolate one side of the system and check it. This is a master Torx and hex and external Torx set. This is a wire stripper that I absolutely love. It's fantastic. It's very well used. It's got different dies on it for different wire gauge size. And you can't even read it any. Oh, they're on the top. Lace cord, little speaker, solder, plug test. Nothing really special else there. And then I've got hammers and Milwaukee impacts. The one guy I hired to work with me fucking uses this thing all the time. Like, no matter what he's loosening, he uses this. And I tell him, like, you're gonna break shit. And then he breaks something, and he's like, hey, we gotta fix this now. So I always hand him that one or the stubby. And the right angle works fairly well. Taking off brake calipers and everything saves you a little bit of time. It's no stronger than this one, though. And we got the snap-on right angle drill with the 1/2-inch chuck. I only bought this because it has a clutch on it. And I could use it, again, to install butte door panels and a few other things on CRJs without over torquing the screw and getting it stuck for the next guy. And then, you know, just regular dead blows, lead hammer, wire wheel, cut off wheel, and the nut for the I have the Milwaukee grinder as well. And then again, like an assortment of, this is a magnetic base dial indicator, brake line bender, seal driver, wheel puller, fuel pressure tester, fuel line removers, hex impact, and then copper anti-seize, spray, molly coat. This I picked up at Menards, super cheap. I just bought it because I wanted it. And then the Milwaukee Sawzall, but everyone and the mother has one of them. Rotary hammer. I use this to punch out bolts in control arms or subframes, like horizontal bolts that are stuck and will not come out. That thing is awesome. Grease gun, the grinder, and this down here is safety wire, and that's what those pliers I showed you at the beginning twist, and then that prevents bolts from loosening. And then I got like honey in here for toast, silverware, can of peaches, just random shit whenever you get hungry. And then that down there is copper safety wire for aircraft batteries. It's just like tamper proof so that you know if anyone loosened the battery or not. It doesn't really hold it because it's just breakaway, but it's just there to know if someone loosened it. This is like my catch-all. This is Daniel's kit. Those are special wire crimpers for those splices I showed you earlier. And then this is a chart that has all the color codes and different contacts that are used in different Canon plugs. So if you work in aviation, you know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, then it's new to you, and I'm not going over it because there's a bajillion different parts in there. Crimp tool for battery, cables, brake line cutter. I'm not buying the ratcheting one, it's too expensive. Fire seal, F4 tape that expired, so I got to bring it home. And the only reason I have this is because there was no cert with it, so they couldn't generate one, so they just said I could take it. Greaser tool that locks on to it. I'm sure tons of people have those. These are pretty sweet. So I was rebuilding a transmission, an NV4500, and it had like flat snap rings, but they didn't have holes in it for the snap rings, so they were just like flat. I call them hog rings, but I don't think they're actually hog rings. But this grabs them and spreads them apart so you can actually get them on and off. They work awesome. I bought both pair. This one has a little cup in it to hold them way better. And I thought they were cool how they opened. And then T gauges. I love these lights. I stick them to truck frames all the time doing transmission work or changing starters or just anything like that. These are magnetic base. They're real similar to that one. I'm using that as a work light right now because that light does not turn on. I got to change the bulbs, or maybe the ballast is bad in it. I'm not sure. But that one is for car hoods, and I got that on a deal as well. I think I paid $180. I think instead of $230 or whatever it actually is, with the light and the charger, because the guy had it on the truck forever and he said he couldn't sell it, and I couldn't believe he couldn't sell it because I love it, absolutely love it. big coolant line picks, or I use them for general picks all the time as well. X-Acto knife, gum for when your mouth gets dry. A junk ratchet that I found in a driveway, and the lady was like, well, I don't know whose it is, so you can take it. I think it's a Lowe's brand, but it's not branded anywhere, so. But the socket is cobalt, so I assume this is cobalt as well. And then this is like my inspector drawer, but all of this stuff is in my scanner in the box zipped up, just so I can have like my multimeters in there, my mirrors in there, my mechanical fingers, my magnet. This mirror broke, the adhesive fell out of it, but I'll just glue that back in eventually. And then over here, got the paperwork drawer, the keys to the car behind me, pens, little pocket screwdriver that I'm sure a bunch of you have seen this. It's got the Phillips and the flathead on it. I carry that around at work in the hangar. Another little pocket screwdriver with a magnet on it. I carry that around as well. Fine tip Sharpie, stapler. These are old tool books, so some of the part numbers may have changed, but I still keep them as reference to show my Snap-on guy what I want. And then I also have the book with all the proto stuff in it as well. Loctite. I keep receipts in here sometimes, but most of the time they're in a folder in like an alligator clip thing. Pry bars. I bought 2 sets because this box used to be at work, and then whenever I became a lead and didn't really need the toolbox anymore, I brought all of it home. So I had a set of pry bars for home and at work. So now I just have double of them. They're great. This is a copper screwdriver, non-magnetic, to adjust compasses on an aircraft, or I guess any compass really, but that's, I used it for planes, tire filler, the like J pry bar, a drill bit that's really not supposed to be in here, but whatever. And a mini pry bar that I used on passenger doors for aircraft, so that I didn't have a bunch of leverage and I wouldn't bend anything out of any ordinary reach, so I could screw everything back together. Just got these Irwin for the Sawzall, and then this is like random, like these junk ass Mac screwdrivers. Don't buy them; they're fucking terrible. I think that's a Duralast 3/8 extension, and then random sockets. This is a flex shaft, and I kept this one to chuck in my drill, and then I could stick it in an actuator and run components forward and backwards to adjust rig or move it so I could change a sensor. Just made it faster than using a speed handle. And that was old. And if you look at it, they call it barber poling, and you can see those darker strands. That's where it had over torqued and kind of came apart. And a knife that my grandpa gave me, and he passed, so I'm going to keep that forever. Another X-Acto knife. This is a petcock I was going to put in my radiator because the Mission Motor radiator does not have a drain on it, and it's irritating, so I need to braze a spot to put this, but that's for another day. Another extra wrenches, extra sockets I bought a long time ago, and I'm missing one. I have no idea where it went. And then my big universals, tap handle that I don't have the through part for anymore. Is that a snap-on socket? I found another random snap-on socket, because I let my brother borrow my sockets. And then this is what he brought back to me. I was pissed. But I keep finding them randomly throughout my grandma's driveway, in her barn, in my brother's car. But I did buy another set that is, oh, it's actually on this rail that I take with me when I travel. It's got all my impact sockets and my deep chrome. And then I bought extra of these so I can put my shallow chrome beside that. But the problem is I need 2 more spots, and I have 2 of these, but they don't, you can't fit 2 more there. There's only room for 1. So I think I'm going to end up putting the other one here. It's going to look kind of janky, but at least I'll have all my sockets in one spot. And then again, packs of tuna whenever you get hungry and don't want to run down to the house. more Milwaukee tools. Power stroke injector puller, which saved me twice now. I use these to clean out thread spots on yokes and like the pinion or whatever that's called on the drive shaft. I can't remember right now, I'm drawing a blank. But I clean those, I spray some Croil or PV Blast in there and then clean out the threads so I don't have to run a thread chaser through and potentially break it in it. The Milwaukee soldering iron, love that. Handle for my grinder. Self-tapping screws. Milwaukee screwdrivers, fucking pointless. I bought it from a guy at work because he bought one and then got one for Christmas, so I gave him like $30 for this. The 3/8 ratchet, which I think is worse than the 1/4 inch. This thing does not have any power behind it. And it came with the 1/4 inch adapter, but I just use the 1/4 all the time. And this is what I was saying, had all my other inspector items in it. I just bought this because I was tired of other scanners not working properly or saying there was no code and there really was a code. This is an OBD1 port for a Ford, and I bought it to work on a Thunderbird that I have in another garage right now. But this is the Soulless Legend, and it is phenomenal. When I change the injectors in a Power Stroke, you can enter the IQA code and everything on this. It works on like Alfa Romeos, I think even Bugattis on this, but obviously never going to work on one of those. But my boss at the airport has an Alfa Romeo, and I needed to reset a maintenance schedule for him, and he ended up giving me $25 just to do it, because I guess the other shop was going to charge him like $60, and I was just going to do it for free just to be a friend. And then the big mirror, mechanical fingers with the light, the OBD2 cord, charging, or I guess it is a charging cord, but I'm not really sure what for, because this pulls 12 volts off of the car. And this also has a light on the end of it. Whenever this is turned on, this has a light built into it, so you can look under the dash way easier. And it's not really there, that yellow thing in the middle. And then this is a Bluetooth multimeter. I bought it at Menards for like 15 bucks. I love Menards. And then this is how you get 12 volts on an OBD1. You hook it straight to the battery and then plug it into your scanner. And it's got all the paperwork. A pack of empty pens. Then I bought my son a little workbench as well, so whenever he gets older, he can do it. Got some Cummins manifolds and turbos. Got some DSM parts like Eclipses and Talons. If you need them, just comment and I will probably just give them to you for shipping. I want them gone. This is also for sale. Another 12 valve. It has an A pump on it though. It came out of an Ottawa yard truck. I bought the truck for $1,200, scrapped it, sold the rams and a couple other things off of it, and ended up making more than $1,200 off of it, so this became free. That's the only reason I kept it. I could keep it as a spare as well, but it definitely needs overhauled. And then my wife, Vanessa, and then just regular jack and everything. I guess it's kind of a garage tour now. A quad. The wrecked parts from this, which I still need to drill out the rest of this core support. And it's got a little kink right here. You got to get that out. But this is for one of my supervisors at work. His daughter wrecked it, and he said he'd rather give me the work than the shop, which I really appreciated, especially around Christmas time. So I'm cutting him a deal, and it's making me and my other mechanic a little bit of money. So favor for favor, I guess. I got a pickup flywheel and a medium duty flywheel, both of them for sale. I mean, they need resurface and everything, but, and then the medium duty adapter, it's for sale. So not sure how likely it is to sell stuff on YouTube, but yeah. That's really it. This rocker cover, or whatever you'd want to call this, the advertising of the engine, is for sale as well. And I got some housings and random shit in this box. This one's really not anything. This is going to be my welding box as soon as I get around to organizing everything. But yeah, it is trashed. A T3 turbo blanket, if anyone wants that. Charging station. And a little Raptor for my son. Yeah, that's it. I just hope you enjoyed it. I think I have a decent box for at home anyway. It's got the nice top on it. I got a good deal on this box too. I ended up paying just under $4,000 for the whole thing with a trade-in because the sticker's scratched. It's the only reason I upgraded. And then my gear that I destroyed, oil filter, wrenches. But yeah. And then my Snap-on dealer gave me this nice sign. But yeah, that's my box. I hope you liked it.